the structures that give rise to a smoke. Okay, so you can draw like that upper one structure, and that is called as conidia. Okay, this conidia, where is from? Conidia is from in fungi, that's called as penicillin. So this is all about this asexual mode of reproductions. Okay, then we will see this vegetative propagation. Now we will see the vegetative propagation. Okay, so vegetative propagation, this is a type of asexual reproduction that is generally seen in plant. Okay, this is also a sexual mode of reproduction. Okay, but that is only seen in plants. Vegetative propagation. Okay, so this vegetative parts of this plant, like, they help in the process of vegetative propagation. So vegetative parts of plants, vegetative parts of plants, like leaves, stem, roots, leaves, stem, roots. Okay, that give rise to new plant. Okay, that is called as vegetative propagation. Okay, naturally, for example, naturally this vegetative part, we can see the vegetative part of plant, that is a leaves, stem, roots, and that produce a new plant. Okay, so naturally, for example, you might be heard this one name, that is called as water hyacinth. Okay, water hyacinth, you might be heard, that is called as terror of Bengal. This is also known as terror of Bengal, or squarage of water body. It's also known as squarage of water bodies. Okay, so this is a naturally growing plant that's called as water hyacinth. This water hyacinth plant is also known as terror of Bengal. Not only that, it's also known as squarage of water bodies. Okay, so this is propagated very quickly. Propagated means grow. Okay, this water hyacinth is propagated very quickly by the vegetative mode of reproductions, and that by the vegetative, and that drain out the dissolved oxygen, and that drain these dissolved oxygens from this water body. Okay, so what exactly is water hyacinth, that we will see. It is one of the most invasive seed. It is one of the most invasive weeds. Okay, and that generally grow in standing water. It means stagnant water, and that grows whenever there is standing water, that is stagnant water. जहाँ water इकट्ठा रहता है एक जगह, वहाँ पे इस plant का growth जल्दी से होता है. Okay, what this plant did actually, it's drain dissolved oxygen from this water, and ultimately leads to the death of aquatic animal, that is generally a fishes. Okay, what is the role of that? It drain out dissolved oxygen that are present in water. So because of that, so there is no dissolved oxygen in water, and that ultimately leads to a death of aquatic animals, and that is generally the fishes. Okay, this plant is introduced in India. This is a plant, water hyacinth, is introduced in India, because of its pretty flowers and shape of leaf. It has a very pretty flowers. Okay, it has two reasons because it's introduced in India. First, it's pretty flowers. Second is that the shape of leaves is too good. It's very attractive. Because of these reasons, this water hyacinth plant was introduced in India. Okay, here since it propagate, it's vegetatively propagated. Because of that reason, this water hyacinth plants propagated vegetatively and spread adversely in water bodies in a very short period of time, and it is very difficult to get rid of them. Okay, it's very difficult to get rid of them from this water bodies. So this is of the water hyacinth, and this water hyacinth grow naturally in the stagnant water. Okay, next, apart from that, there are some artificial methods of vegetative propagation are also developed by the farmers, like some are other artificial methods that are also developed by the farmers, like cutting, layering, grafting, and along with that grafting is also micropropagation, that is nothing but the tissue culture. Okay, but basically the vegetative propagations can be classified into two types. This vegetative propagation basically has two types: natural vegetative propagation and artificial vegetative propagation. These are two types of vegetative propagation. Okay, in natural vegetative propagations happens through the natural things. Okay, just like a leaf, stems, bulbils, natural. So natural propagations happens through natural way. So natural methods of propagations involves root, it involves stem, it involves leaves, it involves bulbils, turions. So all these ways these natural propagations have occurs. Okay, so we will see first of all this. So in plant, vegetative propagation occurs by vegetative propagators like runout, sucker, that is here I am writing, that is called as runout, suckers, then rhizomes, then tuber, offsets, then probe. Okay, so these are a unit of natural vegetative propagation. Okay, so first we will see. So what do you mean by natural vegetative propagations? Through the vegetative part, they grow naturally to form a number of plants. Okay, that is called as natural vegetative propagation. So first we will see the roots. Okay, the vegetative part over here. Here these are a vegetative. These are a vegetative parts, right? The first part is roots. For example, when we saw the roots of any plant, a very specific plant in a soil, so from this root part they form a new plant. Okay, that is called as natural vegetative parts. Okay, so first we will see the roots. From the roots plants are developed. For example, dahlia, okay, aspergillus, guava, then tapioca. These are a few examples of roots. From that roots the new plants are developed. Okay, the second is vegetative part, that's called as stem. Okay, in the stem we will see the different parts of the stem. Okay, from the stem is also the vegetative part, that we know that. Okay, from the stem we will see first part, that's called as tuber. Okay, tuber is nothing but the germinating eye. You know that potato, on this potato little bird is there, right? So example of tuber is potato and artichoke. Okay, these are two examples of tubers. What is tubers? You know, this is potato, and from this potato small bird's eye is there, and from this eye new plant is formed, that is called as tubers. Okay, then second plant part of stem that are that act as a vegetative propagules, that is called as bulbs. Okay, so you know, garlic and onion, okay, they have small part. Okay, and if we sow this into the soil, they produce a new plant. Okay, that is this part is known as bulb. Okay, tuber, you know, eye of the potato or bud on potato, this is tuber. Then third part is known as rhizome. Rhizome, you know, ginger, turmeric, okay, and banana also like that. Okay, so rhizome of this rhizomes. Okay, so rhizome, this rhizome, what is mean by rhizome? Rhizome, in ancient Greek word, the rhizome, it means a mass of root. What do you mean? It's nothing but the mass of roots. Okay, so when we sow this mass into, or we can this mass of root is also known as strike root. Okay, when we sow this root into the soil, the new plants get developed. This plant send out the roots and the shoot from its nodes. Okay, that is called as rhizome, and the example is ginger, turmeric, and banana. Then fourth part of stem that are used, that is called as corms. Okay, so what is corms? Corms is a container basal plate, bottom is bulb, from which the roots develop, and thin tunic and growing at tapering at a pointed, just like you know, arbi, right? Arbi is the example. You know, this arbi has a basal is very bulb-like structures and end is very tapering end. Okay, so that is the example of corms. Example is, we can write an example as corm is called as colocasia, that is called as arbi. You can see, that is called as arbi. Apart from crocus means saffron को क्या कहते हैं मराठी हिंदी, केसर. Okay, that is called as crocus means saffron. And okay, these are the two examples of corm. The fifth part of the stem is known as sucker. Okay, so what is sucker? Sucker is a does not originate from the seeds, but instead of it grows from the base of the plant. Okay, sucker is also the part of the stem, so it does not develop from the seeds. It is developed from the basal part of this plant. So, sucker. Example of sucker are mint. Mint, you know, Padina. And second example is called as chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum is mint, and chrysanthemum is an example of that plant. Chrysanthemum is known as गुलदाउदी. उसको किसी का रूट है वो root in Marathi is called as शेवंतीचे मूळ. Okay, that is called as chrysanthemum. Okay, that is developed from the part of stem, that's called as sucker. Then six part of this stem that are act as a vegetative propagators, that is called as runners. Okay, an example is called as oxalis and scintilla. Okay, oxalis scintilla, तुलसी, रनर पता है, मंजूरा, वहाँ से, हाँ राइट, मंजूरा जो तुलसी प्लांट में रहता है, राइट. So that part is known as runner, and that is also act as a vegetative propagators. Then next part is called as stolon. Okay, you know jasmine plant. Okay, so that's from the stolon part of this stem. Okay, we can grow the plant. That is called as jasmine. The next part is called as offset of this stems. Okay, so that part, the new plant is developed, propagates. Okay, an example of this offset is it's pistia and Ecornia. Okay, these are two examples of offset of stem. From that they propagate naturally. Okay, after that a third vegetative part is called as leaves. We know that leaves. Okay, so from these leaves, when we saw the leaves of any plant and new plants get developed, that is known as vegetative part. Okay, that's called a vegetative. So first is called as bryophyllus, bryophyllum, that is a Brahma Kamal. Then it's called as begonia. This is another example that is also grown from that. And walking fern is also developed from the leaves. Okay, the fourth part is called as bulbils. That bulbils is a part of this plant. From that new plant is developed. Example is lily, then agave and Dioscorea. These are a few examples of bulbil through this part new organisms, new plants are developed. And last is known as turions. This is also a part of plant, and that is nothing but it generally occurs in aquatic plant. So you can see what is a turions. Turions is nothing but the fleshy birds, and that fleshy birds are generally found in aquatic plant. Okay, an example of that, this turions also the vegetative parts of the plant that grow naturally into the number of plants. Example is this Potamogeton, and one more is there Utricularia. These are the two examples of turions. Okay, so this all are this vegetative part: root, stem, leaves, bulbi, turions. From that the number of plants are developed. Okay, so in roots, wire roots, dahlia and aspergillus are their stem. Their stem have a different part. From the different part of stem, the new plants are developed. In tubers, potato is there, bulbs, garlic and onion, rhizome, ginger and turmeric. Crowns is called calcaneus, carby and kesar. Sucker is the mint. Runner is the oxalis, tulsi plant. Okay, stolen is jasmine. Offset is pistia and econia. So these are example of that different vegetative part of the stem. And leaves is we are known as Bryophyllus mandalus or Brahma Kamal. Okay, Bengonia. These are also example of this leaves. Okay, bulbils have lily, walking ferns, agave, Dioscorea. These are examples of the plant that grow through this part, vegetative part of the plant, that's called bulbil. And turions is a vegetative part. These are nothing but the fleshy bud in aquatic plants. These are generally found in aquatic plant. Example of this is a Potamogeton and Utriculata. Okay, so this is all about this natural vegetative propagation. Now we will see the artificial vegetative propagation. So in artificial vegetative propagation, we see the natural vegetative. In artificial vegetative, there are different methods are there. First is called as cutting. Second is called as layering. Third is known as grafting. Fourth is called as tissue culture, and this tissue culture is known as micro propagation. We will see all these artificial vegetation one by one. Okay.